Luke chapter 9. But calling together the 12 apostles, he had given them ability and authority over all the demons and to cure in regards to sicknesses. And he dispatched them to herald the regency of God and to heal the weak. And he said to them, Not one thing lift, taking it with you for the way, neither staff, nor pouch, nor bread, but also not silver, nor have two tunics. And the house into which, as it were, you come, there abide, and from there come out. And as many, as it were, will not receive you coming out of that city shake off the dust from your feet for a testimony to them. But coming out, they came through every village, well announcing and curing everywhere. But Herod the Tetrarch heard all that coming to be, and he was thoroughly guileless, because by some it was said that John was awakened out of died ones, but by some that Elijah was made to appear, but others that a prophet, one of the original ones, rose. But Herod said, I let John be beheaded, but who is this one concerning who I hear such things? And he sought to perceive him. And returning below, the apostles had told him what they had done. And having beside taken them, he absconded below for himself alone into a desolate place. But the throngs having known of this followed him, and welcoming them, he spoke to them concerning the regency of God, and those having need of cure he healed. But the day Origen began to decline, and the 12 having come said to him, Unloosen the throng, so that as going into the villages and field places in the encircling areas they may relax and find grain food, since we are here in the desolate place. But he said to them, You give them to eat. But they said, Not are to us still more food, as only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, if we are not going so that we buy food for all these people. But there were about 5,000 men. And he said to his learning ones, Let them recline down in groups of reclination of about 50 up each. And they did thus, and let them all recline down. But having taken the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish, and being capable of uplooking into the heaven, he blessed them, and broke down them, and gave them to the learning ones, to set all beside the throng. And they ate, and they were satiated, and the having become abundant of the broken pieces that were lifted were 12 panniers. And it became to be in that, as praying one, he was alone each time, only the learning ones were there together with him. And Jesus asked on them, saying, What do the throng say who I am? But answering they said, John the Baptizer, but others Elijah, but others said that a prophet, one of the original ones, rose. But he said to them, But you, what do you say who I am? But Peter answered, saying, The Christ of God. But warning them, he instructed them to say this to not one, saying, It is binding for the Son of Human to suffer much, and to be examined away from the preceders and our priests and scribes, and to be slain, and to be awakened the 3rd day. But he said to all, If someone is willing to come behind after me, let him deny himself, and let him lift up his stake accordingly daily, and let him follow me. For whosoever will save his soul will wholly loosen it away, and who, as it were, will wholly loosen away his soul for my sake this one will save it. For what benefit is it if a human is gaining the whole cosmos but wholly loosens himself away, or losing? For who, as it were, will be ashamed in regards to me and my words, in regards to this one, the Son of Human, will be ashamed, when, as it were, he comes in his glory, and that of the Father, and of the holy angels. But truly I say to you, there are some, having taken stand there, who will not, yea, not taste of death, till, as it were, they perceive the regency of God. But it came to be after these words that, after about 8 days, beside taking Peter and John and James, he stepped up into the mountain to pray. And in that he prayed, the perceivableness of his face became ulterior, and his raimenture became outflashing white. And perceived 2 men spoke together with him, who were Moses and Elijah, who, as having been made eyeable in glory, told him his outway, which he was about to complete in Jerusalem. But Peter and those together with him were ones having been burdened with sleep. But then, as thoroughly watching ones, they perceived his glory, and the two men, those having taken stand together with him. And it became to be, in that they were thoroughly disjoined themselves, going away from him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, ideal it is for us to be here, and we will make 3 tents, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah, not having perceived what he said. But while he was saying this, there became to be a cloud and be shadowed on them, but they were made to fear in that they came into the cloud. And a voice became out of the cloud saying, This one is my son, having been outchosen. Hear him. And in that the voice became, Jesus was found being alone. And they were silent, and announced to not one in those days, also not one thing of what they had seen. But it became to be in the next havable day, as they had come down from the mountain, a many numerous throng encountered together him, and perceived. A man from the throng shouted, saying, Teacher, I entreat of you, look on my son, since he is the only become to me. And a spirit takes him, and out unawares he cries, and a spirit pulls him down, and convulses him with foam, and battering together him, absconds toilsomely from him. And I was made entreating before your learning ones, so that they may drive him out, and they were not able. But answering, Jesus said, O unfaithing generation, and one having been thoroughly perverted, till when will I be with you, and shall bear you? Lead your son here. But still while he was praying, the demon pulls him down and convulsed him. But Jesus warned the unclean spirit, and healed the boy, and gave him to his father. But all were churned out up on account of the grandness of God. But in that all were marveling on account of all that he did, he said to his learning ones, But you, yea, you, set into your ears these words, for the Son of Human is about to be given over into the hands of human. But they were unknowing in regards to this talk, and it was one as having been immediately veiled away from them, lest they sense it, and they feared to ask him concerning this talk. But it came to be a thorough overconsideration in them in regards to that who, as it were, of them may be greater. But Jesus, perceiving the thorough overconsideration of their heart, taking a playing one, gave it stand by himself, and said to them, Whosoever receives this playing one on account of my name, he receives me, and whosoever receives me receives the one dispatching me, for the one below origin beginning as the smaller one in among you all, this one is great. But answering, John said, Master, we perceive someone driving out demons in your name, and we prevented him, since he did not follow with us. But Jesus said to him, Do not prevent this one, for whoever is not against you is for us. But it came to be, in that days of the uptaking in the mountain were fulfilled, and he firmed up his face to go into Jerusalem. And he dispatched announcers before his face. And as going, they came into a city of the Samaritans to prepare him a site. And they did not receive him, since his face was one going into Jerusalem. But perceiving this, the learning ones, James and John, said, Lord, do you want that we say that fire down drip from heaven and consume them? But as having been turned, he warned them, and they went into an ulterior village. And during their going in the way, one said to him, I will follow you whereto, as it were, you as going, come away. And Jesus said to him, The jackals have keeping places, and the wingers of the heaven have down tentings, but the Son of Human does not have a place where he does recline the head. But he said to an ulterior one, Follow me. But he said, Lord, concede to me beforehand, as having come away from here to entomb my father. But he said to him, Let the died entomb their own died ones, but you, as having come away from here, thoroughly announce the regency of God. But also an ulterior one said, I will follow you, Lord, but concede to me beforehand to go into my dwelling site, to bid farewell to those there. But Jesus said to him, Not one having driven on his hand on the plow, and looking towards the things behind him is appropriate in the regency of God.